Hi, welcome to our brand new Microsoft Azure Fundamental AZ 900 Practice Questions 2022. In this video, we are going to discuss all the dummy questions of Microsoft Azure 900 exam. I'm your host Kushal Mehta, and let's get started. Question 127. Which group of data centers are connected by a fast network that is geographically separated in Azure? And the options are option 1, availability zone, option 2, region, option 3, resource group, option 4, geography. And the correct answer is option 2, region. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. A group of data centers connected by a high-speed network that are geographically separated from each other in Azure is called a region. Option 1 is incorrect. An availability zone is a location within a unique physical region. Each zone consists of one or more data centers with independent power supplies, cooling means, and networks. Option 3 is incorrect. Use resource groups to define resources as a group. Resources with the same life cycle can be grouped together on the same resource group. When you delete a resource group, all the resources on it are also deleted. Option 4 is incorrect. Geography in any region of world that contains at least one Azure region. Region defines individual markets and maintain boundaries between data location and compliance. Question 128. True or false? The private cloud must be disconnected from the internet. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. You don't have to disconnect your private cloud from the internet. This is at the user's discretion, whether to disconnect or not. However, after connecting to internet from a private cloud, requests from the internet should be backlisted with an IP address or network security group. Using a network access control list, you can limit access. You can use virtual machines to further limit traffic from the internet. Question 129. Fill in the blank with appropriate option. All Azure services in public preview dash. Number 1. Are provided without documentation. Number 2. Can only be configured from the Azure CLI. Number 3. Are excluded from service level agreements. And number 4. Can only be configured from the Azure portal. And the correct answer is option 3. Are excluded from service level agreements. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Public Preview Service is excluded from SLAs. This is clearly stated in terms and conditions provided by Microsoft. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure keeps documentation for all services it provides to its users. Option 2 is incorrect. The Public Preview Azure service can also be configured from the Azure portal. Option 4 is incorrect. The Public Preview Azure service can also be configured from Azure CLI. Question 130. Which cloud format allows users to use services that have already been created for subscription? And the options are option 1, PaaS, option 2, IaaS, option 3, SaaS, and option 4, DaaS. And the correct answer is option 3, SaaS. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Software as a service is a cloud-based software that allows you to use as many functions and services as you need. It may also refer to software that is available over the internet. Option 1 is incorrect. Platform as a service is a cloud format that provides a set of platforms such as hardware and OS for running application software as a service. Option 2 is incorrect. Infrastructure as a service is a cloud format that allows you to use hardware over the network. Option 4 is incorrect. Desktop as a service is a virtual desktop, a cloud service that provides a desktop virtualization system deployed in a cloud environment. Question 131. True or false? Outbound data traffic from Azure to your on-premises network is always free. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, False. Explanation. The correct answer is false, as your Express route is used to transfer data from your on-premises data center to Azure public cloud. When using Express route to transfer data from Azure public cloud to an on-premises data center, users are charged for outbound data transfer. Question 132. True or false? There is a charge for data transfer between different Azure regions. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. True is the correct answer. There are additional costs for cross-region traffic and Azure AZ traffic. When you transfer data to resources in different regions, Azure charges you for outbound data transfer. Outbound transfers are charged, but inbound transfers are free. Question 133. Which cloud model is used for Azure virtual machines? And the options are option 1, infrastructure as a service, option 2, platform as a service, option 3, software as a service, option 4, none of the above. And the correct answer is option 1, infrastructure as a service. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Infrastructure as a service is an on-demand computing infrastructure that creates and manages virtual machines over the internet. Option 2 is incorrect. Platform as a service provides hardware and OS for running application software as a service on the internet. Option 3 is incorrect. Software as a service, a form of providing cloud-based applications via the internet. Common examples include email, calendars, and office tools, such as Microsoft Office 365. Question 134. What is the characteristics of cloud that refers to its continuous use, even in the event of failure? And the options are option 1, low latency, option 2, fault tolerance, option 3, dynamic scalability, option 4, pilot light. And the correct answer is option 2, fault tolerance. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Fault tolerance is the ability to keep a system available in event of failure of one of its components. Azure recommends that you configure your application across multiple data centers to provide fault tolerance. You can easily achieve fault tolerance by using the cloud. Option 1 is incorrect. Low latency is incorrect because this is a characteristic of a system in which users can quickly access it from anywhere. Option 3 is incorrect. Dynamic scalability is incorrect because it means the ability of a system to grow and shrink based on user or system requirements. Option 4 is incorrect. Pilot light is used to prepare a stopped server in another region so that it can be used in the event of a failure. It is one of many services that can be used, but it is not a characteristic and so is not the correct answer. Question 135. Please select the suitable option to fill in the following blank. Dash is a tool that provides guidance and recommendations for improving your Azure environment. Option 1, Azure Advisor. Option 2, Azure Cognitive Services. Option 3, Azure DevOps. Option 4, Azure Application Insights. And the correct answer is option 1, Azure Advisor. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Advisor is a service that analyzes the configuration and usage of your Azure environment and recommends the optimal configuration. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Cognitive Services is a service that helps developers build intelligent applications without the need for skills and knowledge of AI and data science. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DevOps is a service that provides you with the tools you need to plan smarter, collaborate more efficiently, and publish your applications faster. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Application Insights is a feature of Azure Monitor, an application performance management service. The application performance management service allows you to monitor running applications and automatically detect performance anomalies and use built-in analytics tools to see what your users do on your app. Question 136. You are an Azure subscription for multiple projects. You need to have separate usage reports for each project. Which is the best solution in this case? And the options are option 1, tag settings, option 2, resource group settings, option 3, Azure policy settings, option 4, resource category settings. And the correct answer is option 1, tag settings. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. To separate usage reports by project, assign tags to resources so that you can categorize them by that project's tag. After that, you can create a usage report based on these tags. Option 2 is incorrect. Resource group settings are a mechanism that allows you to organize the life cycle of resources, but it cannot be used to split reports into separate projects. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure policies can grant usage permissions for resources, but they are not used for splitting usage reports into separate projects. Option 4 is incorrect. There is no function called resource categories setting. Question 137. The company plans to build a mission-critical system with Azure virtual machines. Deployment of mission-critical system requires the use of Azure solutions. This solution should guarantee 99.99% availability. What is the minimum number of availability zones and virtual machines to be deployed for this mission-critical system? Select two options. Option 1, 3x virtual machines. Option 2, 2x virtual machines. Option 3, 4x virtual machines. Option 4, 1x AZ. Option 5, 2x AZ. Option 6, 3x AZ. And the correct answer is option 2, 2x virtual machines, and option 5, 2x AZ. Explanation. Option 2 and 5 are the correct answers. Based on the Azure Virtual Machine SLA, the minimum number of availability zones to guarantee 99.99% availability is 2. And at least one virtual machine can be started in each availability zone to create a redundant configuration. SLA 99.99% availability is guaranteed by using two virtual machines, one for each of the two AZ. Question 119. You plan to create about 10 custom virtual machines to develop your web application. These virtual machines are a combination of Windows-based virtual machines with the same configuration and Linux machines with the same configuration. What should be used to streamline the deployment of these instances? And the options are option 1, Azure Load Balancer. Option 2, Azure Web Apps. Option 3, Azure Skill Sets. Option 4, Azure Traffic Manager. And the correct answer is option 3, Azure Skill Sets. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Skill Sets allows you to create and manage groups of VMs. Load balancing is achieved by automatically increasing or decreasing the number of VM instances according to demand or a predefined schedule. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Load Balancer is incorrect because it is used to forward traffic to network layer backend virtual machines. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Web Apps is used to host the application. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Traffic Manager is used for DNS to improve application responsiveness and reduce the time it takes to deliver content by forwarding customers to Azure endpoints. Question 120. Your company is planning to purchase an Azure support plan. The main reason for this choice is to have access to a dedicated team from Azure to provide architectural support to the company and your new Azure environment creation. Which support plan should you choose to gain access to this? And the options are option 1, Standard. Option 2, Basic. Option 3, Developer. And option 4, Professional Direct. And the correct answer is option 4, Professional Direct. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Only Professional Direct Advisory Support provides architectural support for Azure environments. This plan provides access to Azure support guidance based on publicly available best practice documentation for Microsoft Azure and information from the Azure forums. ProDirect Advisor support users based on their access to Microsoft-related documentation. Microsoft Azure support engineers and Microsoft Azure product groups. Question 121. You are building an application using a virtual machine in Azure. Security requirements include protecting your website from attacks and generating detailed reports in the event that an attack does occur. Which is the best solution to meet the above requirements? And the options are: Option 1, Azure Firewall. Option 2, Network Security Group. Option 3, Azure Information Protection. Option 4, DDoS Protection. And the correct answer is Option 4, DDoS Protection. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. DDoS protection is correct because it provides protection against DDoS attacks. It protects your website from a variety of malicious attacks and produces detailed reports on these attacks. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Firewall is incorrect because Azure Firewall is a cloud-based managed network security service that protects Azure virtual network resources. Option 2 is incorrect. The network security group is incorrect. It is used to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in an Azure virtual network that has the network security group. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Information Protection is incorrect because it is a cloud-based solution that helps organizations classify documents and emails by applying labels and can help to protect them. Question 122. You are trying to build a predictive analytics model that uses historical user behavior data. Which service should you use? And the options are: Option 1, Azure Machine Learning. Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 3, Azure Functions. Option 4, Azure Cognitive Services. And the correct answer is Option 1, Azure Machine Learning. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Machine Learning is a development platform for coding machine learning. Developers and data scientists can take advantage of a variety of experiences to build, train, and deploy machine learning models faster. You can use this to build a predictive analytics model that uses past user behavior data. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Synapse Analytics is incorrect because it is an Azure analytics service that combines both big data analytics and an enterprise data warehouse. This cannot be used for predictive analytics model. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop serverless applications. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Cognitive Services allows you to incorporate mechanisms such as image identification into your applications from APIs without any machine learning expertise. Question 123. You plan to build an enterprise data warehouse in Azure to perform business data analysis. The requirement is to build an integrated environment that supports the development of end-to-end analytical solutions. Which service should you use for this? The options are: Option 1, Azure Machine Learning. Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 3, Azure Database for PostgreSQL. And Option 4, Azure SQL Data Warehouse. And the correct answer is Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Synapse Analytics is a data analytics platform that combines data integration and enterprise data warehousing and big data analytics. It is possible to build a data warehouse that can be used for BI and machine learning by integrating data collection, exploration, preparation, and management. Azure Synapse Analytics meets your requirements by significantly reducing the time it takes to develop your project with an integrated experience that supports the development of end-to-end analytics solution. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Machine Learning is incorrect because it does not provide enterprise DW services. Azure Machine Learning is a development platform for coding machine learning. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Database for PostgreSQL is a relational database service based on open source Postgres database engine. It is not used to build a data warehouse. A database is a fully managed service that can handle mission-critical workloads with predictable performance, security, high availability, and dynamic scalability. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure SQL Data Warehouse is a petabyte-scale MPP analytics data warehouse built on SQL Server and running as part of the Microsoft Azure Cloud Computing Platform. However, Azure Synapse Analytics is an older version of Azure Synapse Analytics. Question 124. You are building an application using Azure and you need a service that sends push notifications from the backend. Which solution is best to achieve this? And the options are Option 1, Azure App Service. Option 2, Azure Notification Hubs. Option 3, Azure SignalR Service. Option 4, Azure Cognitive Search. And the correct answer is Option 2, Azure Notification Hubs. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Notification Hubs is a service that sends push notifications to any platform, even from the backend. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure App Service makes it easy to create high-performance cloud-based web apps. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure SignalR Service makes it easy to add real-time web capabilities. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Cognitive Search deploys search tools as a fully managed service. Question 125. Your company wants to use cloud storage to manage their data. What are the correct formats for Azure Storage Data Services? Please select two correct formats. The options are Option 1, Block. Option 2, Blob. Option 3, Table. Option 4, File. Option 5, Archive. And the correct answer is Option 2, Blob, and Option 4, File. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Blob Storage can store blob-type data. Blob storage is optimized by storing large amounts of unstructured data, such as text and binary data. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Files saves data in a file format. A fully managed file share is provided in the cloud that can be accessed via the industry-standard server message block protocol or the network file system protocol. Question 126. Please select the appropriate option to fill in the following blank. Dash is the big data analysis service for machine learning. And the options are Option 1, Azure Databricks. Option 2, Azure Function. Option 3, Azure App Service. Option 4, Azure Application Insights. And the correct answer is Option 1, Azure Databricks. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Databricks is a fast, easy-to-use Apache Spark-based big data analytics service designed for data engineering. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure App Service is a fully managed, fast building, deploying, and scaling service for web applications. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Application Insights is a feature of Azure Monitor, an application performance management service. This service allows you to monitor running applications and automatically detect performance anomalies, and use built-in analytics tool to view what your users do on your app. Question 109. Which two entities can use Azure Government? And the options are United States Government Agency. Option 2, International Organization. Option 3, US Government Contractor. Option 4, European Government Contractor. Option 5, Japanese Government Agency. And the correct answer is Option 1, United States Government Agency, and Option 3, US Government Contractor. Explanation. Option 1 and 3 are correct. Azure Government is available only to US government agencies or their partners. Azure Government is a special region that provides mission-critical clouds for US government agencies and their partners. It was created specifically to provide a cloud environment that supports strict security in the United States. Question 110. You need to perform data processing utilizing Hadoop clusters in the cloud. Which solution is the best for this? And the options are: Option 1, Azure Databricks. Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 3, Azure HD Insight. Option 4, Azure Database for PostgreSQL. And the correct answer is Option 3, Azure HD Insight. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure HD Insight processes large amounts of data in managed Hadoop clusters on the cloud. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Databricks integrates the collaborative Apache Spark-based analytics service with other big data services in Azure. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Synapse Analytics performs large-scale analytics by using a cloud-based enterprise data warehouse that leverages massively parallel processing to quickly perform complex queries on petabytes of data. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Database for PostgreSQL is a highly available and secure, scalable, fully managed PostgreSQL relational database. Question 111. Which of the following would use the standards-based approach when adding functionality to applications that are targeted by Azure AD? And the options are: Option 1, IT Admin. Option 2, App Developer. Option 3, the user. Option 4, online service subscribers. And the correct answer is Option 2, App Developer. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure AD allows app developers to take standard-based approach when adding functionality to their applications. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure AD allows administrators to control access to applications and resource based on their business requirements. Option 3 is incorrect. Users can manage their identities. For example, self-service password reset allows users to change or reset their passwords without having to contact an IT administrator or help desk. Option 4 is incorrect. Subscribers to Microsoft 365, Microsoft Office 365, Azure, and Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online are already using Azure AD. Question 112. True or false? You cannot move resources between regions. And the options are: Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2, false. The correct answer is false. You can move Azure resources to another Azure subscription or to another resource group in the same subscription. You can use the Azure portal, Azure Powershell, Azure CLI, or REST API to move resources. You can also use Azure Resource Mover to move resources to another region. Leverage Azure Global Infrastructure capabilities to seamlessly move resources to the region that best suits your needs. You can streamline your planning process, accelerate your travel, and protect your resources. Question 113. True or false? There are regions that are not available to organizations that have business bases in the United States. And the options are: Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 1, true. The correct answer is true. Organizations that do not have a business based in China will not be able to use the 4 regions of China. Global Azure is operated by Microsoft, but China is not available globally for political reasons. As a result, China Azure operates independently of Global Azure. Question 114. True or false? A region is made up of 3 or more data centers. And the options are: Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. A region consists of at least 2 data centers. Azure operates in multiple data centers around the world. These data centers are grouped into geographic regions, giving you flexibility in choosing where to build your applications. You create Azure resources in defined geographic regions like West US, North Europe, and Southeast Asia. You can review the list of regions and their locations. Within each region, multiple data centers exist to provide for redundancy and availability. This approach gives you flexibility as you design applications to create VMs closest to your users and to meet any legal, compliance, or tax purposes. Question 115. True or false? Each region has an independent set of geographically separated data centers. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Each region is located geographically separated. Therefore, it can be used for saving backups in another region as a disaster response. Azure regions and availability zones are designed to help you achieve resiliency and reliability for your business-critical workloads. Azure maintains multiple geographies. These discrete demarcations define disaster recovery and data residency boundaries across one or multiple Azure regions. Maintaining many regions ensures customers are supported across the world. Each Azure region features data centers deployed within a latency-defined perimeter. They are connected through a dedicated regional low-latency network. This design ensures that Azure services within any region offer the best possible performance and security. Question 116. True or false? There are multiple data centers in Azure region that contain the availability zone. Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Azure regions represent geographical locations and are set to countries in regions. And the region is a group of data centers that are globally distributed around the world in Azure. Therefore, every region will have multiple data centers. Each Azure region features data centers deployed within a latency-defined perimeter. They are connected through a dedicated regional low-latency network. This design ensures that Azure services within any region offer the best possible performance and security. For regions that include availability zones, multiple data centers are used to make the availability zones redundant. Question 117. True or false? One region is set up in one country. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. There may be more than one region in a country. To ensure resiliency, there are at least 3 AZs in every enabled region. For example, the United States, which has a wide landmass and a large economy, has many regions. Question 118. True or false? The regions are connected by wideband leased line. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Data centers within a region are connected using a low latency leased region network, but regions are connected via the internet rather than a leased line. True or false? When using SaaS, it is the responsibility of the user to ensure scalability. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Software as a service is a software solution that users purchase from cloud service providers such as Azure, and it is a form of using already completed software via the internet. Therefore, ensuring scalability is a matter that should be managed by the service provider. Question 90. True or false? It is necessary for the user to set the authority settings of the SaaS solution. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Software as a service is a software solution that users purchase from cloud service providers such as Azure. It is a form in which the already completed software is used via the internet, and the user's authority settings are managed by the user. Question 91. True or false? When using SaaS, there is no responsibility for the user to maintain infrastructure themselves. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Software as a service is a software solution that users purchase from cloud service providers such as Azure, and it is a method of using already completed software via the internet. Therefore, infrastructure maintenance is to be managed by the service provider. Question 92. You plan to build a web application using multiple Azure virtual machines. The requirement is to ensure that the services running on the virtual machine do not stop in the event of a single data center failure. Solution. Deploy virtual machines to 2 or more availability zones. Does this solution meet the requirement? And the options are option 1, yes, option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 1, yes. Explanation. Yes is the correct answer. Deploying virtual machines in multi-AZ mode with multiple availability zones allows virtual machines to be deployed across multiple data centers, preventing a single data center failure to cause an issue to your system. Each availability zone consists of 1 or more data centers with independent power supplies, cooling means, and networks. By using 2 or more AZs, the impact of a single data center failure can be greatly reduced. Question 93. In what units are Azure invoice charges based on? And the options are option 1, Azure account, option 2, Azure user, option 3, Azure subscription, option 4, resource group. And the correct answer is option 3, Azure subscription. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure invoices are charged in units of Azure subscription. You will be required to make payment for each subscription individually within 30 days of the invoice date. You are charged on per subscription basis. Option 1 is incorrect. The account acts as a location where billing and cost management is done, but payments are still made on a per subscription basis. Option 2 is incorrect. There are no invoice payments for Azure users. An invoice will be issued for your Azure subscription. Option 3 is incorrect. No invoice payment is incurred for a resource group. An invoice will be issued for your Azure subscription. Question 94. True or false? On-demand flexibility is one of the benefits of using IaaS on the Azure cloud. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. The advantage of the cloud is that you can quickly and flexibly build, delete, or expand infrastructure such as servers as needed. Question 95. True or false? Infrastructure management flexibility is one of the benefits of using IaaS on the Azure cloud? And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Physical infrastructure management is often not possible on the part of the user. IaaS infrastructure management is inflexible and requires very limited management options for the user. This means infrastructure management flexibility, not cloud flexibility. We cannot access infrastructure which hosts cloud services for us. Question 96. True or false? One of the benefits of using IaaS on the Azure cloud is that it will reduce costs compared to on-premises environments. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. While it is often cheaper to use the cloud, there is no guarantee that it will be cheaper. Extra costs may be incurred if you overuse various services. In addition, having your own infrastructure may reduce costs in the medium to long term. Question 97. True or false? One of the benefits of using IaaS on the Azure cloud is that you can leave all security measures to be handled by the cloud vendor themselves. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. You need to take security measures based on the specific application you have made. The responsibility for managing the security of an application or service depends on the cloud service model, built-in features, and partner solutions that can be deployed to Azure subscriptions. Have features available on Azure platform that cover these responsibilities. In this case, security is still a responsibility of the user. Question 98. Your company is planning to move from an on-premises environment to Azure, and you have decided to develop your application using Docker as the development environment. Which of the following is the best service to use for this scenario? And the options are option 1, Azure App Service, option 2, Azure Container Instances, option 3, Azure Functions, option 4, Azure Virtual Machine. And the correct answer is option 2, Azure Container Instances. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Container Instances is a service that runs Docker containers on demand within your Azure environment. It can operate inside a separate container without orchestration, run event-driven applications, deploy quickly from the container development pipeline, and run data processing and build jobs. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure App Service is a fully managed platform service for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You would use this to develop serverless applications. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Virtual Machines are incorrect because they are for creating dedicated computing resources in minutes and configuring a server similar to a physical desktop or server computer, which is irrelevant in this scenario. Question 99. Please select the correct option to fill in the following blank. Dash is an Azure service that detects and diagnoses web app anomalies. And the options are option 1, Azure Databricks, option 2, Azure Functions, option 3, Azure App Services, option 4, Azure Application Insights. And the correct answer is option 4, Azure Application Insights. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Application Insights is a feature of Azure Monitor, an application performance management service. This service allows you to monitor running applications and automatically detect performance anomalies and use built-in analytics tools to view what your users do on your app. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Databricks is a fast, easy-to-use Apache Spark-based big data analytics service designed for data engineering. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure App Service is a fully managed, fast-building, deploying, and scaling service for web applications. Question 100. Is the following statement true? Data traffic between Azure services within the same Azure region is always free. And the options are option 1, yes, option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 1, yes. Explanation. The correct answer is yes. For the same Azure service, if you're in the same region, Azure does not charge for data transfers. Question 101. Please select the appropriate option to fill in the following blank. Organizations hosting infrastructure in a dash do not need to manage their own data center. And the options are option 1, private cloud, option 2, hybrid cloud, option 3, public cloud, and option 4, Hyper-V host. And the correct answer is option 3, public cloud. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. In the public cloud, the cloud vendor manages the data center, so users of the public cloud do not need a data center. Option 1 is incorrect. The private cloud requires a data center in order to host infrastructure. Option 2 is incorrect. Hybrid clouds also use on-premises data centers, so you can't eliminate data centers that your organization needs to manage on-premises. Option 4 is incorrect. A Hyper-V host is a hypervisor that provides a virtualized environment. Question 102. True or false? Azure Information Protection allows you to encrypt records in Azure SQL database. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. You can't apply Azure Information Protection to data in Azure SQL database. Azure Information Protection is a cloud-based solution. This allows organizations to label content to detect, classify, and protect documents and email. AIP is a part of the Microsoft Information Protection solution. This extends the labeling and classification capabilities provided by Microsoft 365. Question 103. True or false? Azure Information Protection allows you to encrypt the content of your documents and emails. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Azure Information Protection can classify and protect documents and emails. Azure Information Protection is a cloud-based solution. This allows organizations to label content to detect, classify, and protect documents and email. AIP is a part of Microsoft Information Protection solution. This extends the labeling and classification capabilities provided by Microsoft 365. Question 104. True or false? Azure Information Protection allows you to encrypt your Azure storage account. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure storage accounts contain Azure storage data objects that cannot be encrypted with Azure Information Protection, such as blobs, files, queues, tables, and disks. You can encrypt stored data using the encryption service implemented in Azure Services Encryption at rest. Question 105. True or false? Azure information protection allows you to encrypt network traffic. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Network traffic cannot be encrypted with Azure information protection. Azure information protection is a cloud-based solution. This allows organizations to label content to detect, classify, and protect documents and email. It does not have the ability to encrypt network traffic. You need to configure TLS. Question 106. You want to build a serverless application to perform simple application processing. Which is the best solution for this? And the options are option 1, Azure App Service, option 2, Azure Virtual Machine, option 3, Azure Functions, and option 4, Azure Container Instances. And the correct answer is option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop serverless applications. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure App Service allows you to quickly build, deploy, and scale your web applications on a fully managed platform. This is a development platform and does not provide a serverless environment. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure virtual machines are incorrect because they create dedicated computing resources in minutes and configure servers similar to physical desktop or server computer. They are not serverless. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Container Instances are services that build container-based applications. Container instances also use virtualized environments, not serverless applications. Question 107. In Azure, SLAs are set according to the service. What happens if your SLA target is not achieved? And the options are option 1, credits are provided by Azure based on the actual SLA result compared with the target SLA result. Option 2, you can claim the chargeback set when the SLA is designed. Option 3, future discounts are automatically applied and these discounts are based on the SLA result when compared with the SLA target. Option 4, it will be automatically refunded up to the amount of difference between the SLA result and the SLA target. And the correct answer is option 1. Credits are provided by Azure based on the actual SLA result compared with the target SLA result. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. In the event of a failure in the service that Azure provides to its users, Microsoft will provide service level agreement credits. SLA credits from Microsoft are based on the services affected. For example, if a customer is using the Office 365 suite but has only experienced an outage for SharePoint, SLA credits will only be granted to SharePoint, not the customer's entire plan. Option 2 is incorrect. Users can request credits instead of a chargebacks based on the SLA. Option 3 is incorrect. Instead of automatically applying discounts based on the rate, credits are provided. Option 4 is incorrect. It is not automatically refunded. Question 108. You need to implement an application that leverages Azure to automatically send email notifications. Choose the two best solutions for this. And the options are option 1, API management, option 2, Azure functions, option 3, Azure Marketplace server image, and option 4, Azure Logic App. The correct answers are option 2, Azure functions, and option 4, Azure Logic App. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop an application that sends emails. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Logic App is a workflow generation solution that allows you to automate your workflow without writing a single line of code. You can use this to easily implement an application that automatically sends email notifications. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure API Management is a fully managed API gateway service. You can manage APIs collectively. It cannot create applications that perform email processing. Option 3 is incorrect. The server image in Azure Marketplace is incorrect because the server image is a predefined configuration of Azure virtual machines that you can use to host your application based on your need. Question 71. Is the following statement true? The cost of Azure services in private preview decreases as the service becomes publicly available. And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 2, no. Explanation. The correct answer is no. The private preview feature is always free, so this is not a correct statement. Private previews are usually the first release of a product and are to help customers try out the service, provide feedback, verify if the service is actually needed, and shape the future of the product. In general, the number of customers invited to private previews is limited, and these customers are expected to spend time with the product to provide feedback. When the service becomes publicly available, it will be in full production mode, fully supported by SLAs, customer support, and run on production workloads. Since the service is now running normally, you will be charged for it. Question 72. You have been asked to clean up the Azure resources that you are not currently using to avoid incurring extra costs. Which of the following services should you remove to lower the costs? And the options are Option 1, private IP address. Option 2, public IP address. Option 3, virtual network. Option 4, network interface. And the correct answer is Option 2, public IP address. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Static public IP addresses in the ARM deployment model and reserved IP addresses in the ASM deployment model begin billing from the second hour after the IP address has been created, taking into account the time needed to properly allocate the IP address. Billing for this ends when you delete the IP address resource. For all other public IP addresses, billing begins when the associated resource is started and ends when the associated resource is deleted or stopped, and then deallocated. Therefore, it is possible to stop billing by deleting unused public IP addresses. Option 1 is incorrect. There is no charge for private IP, whether static or dynamic. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Virtual Network is free. You can create up to 50 virtual networks in all regions with each subscription. Option 4 is incorrect. The network interface is free to use. Question 73. Which Azure management tools are available for Ubuntu? Please select the 3 most suitable options. And the options are Option 1, Azure CLI. Option 2, Azure Powershell. Option 3, Azure Mac Management. Option 4, Azure Portal. Option 5, Azure Console. And the correct answer is Option 1, Azure CLI. Option 2, Azure PowerShell. And Option 4, Azure Portal. Explanation. Options 1, 2, and 4 are correct answers. Ubuntu is a distribution of operating systems based on the Linux kernel, so you can take advantage of the tools for Linux. The Linux operating system supports Azure management tools. So the Azure CLI, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell are the correct answer. Question 74. Is the following sentence true? You can merge two Azure subscriptions into one by creating a support request. And the options are option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 2, no. Explanation. The correct answer is no. You can't merge two subscriptions in Azure. It is incorrect because each subscription is a separate entity that cannot be merged. However, you can transfer ownership of a subscription to another account. In this case, you will need to manage two subscriptions with one account. Question 75. Which of the following Azure services provides voice-related features? Please select the two most suitable solutions. And the options are option 1, Azure Functions. Option 2, Azure Bot Services. Option 3, Azure Cognitive Services. Option 4, Azure Machine Learning. And the correct answers are option 2, Azure Bot Services, and option 3, Azure Cognitive Services. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Bot Service provides core components for creating bots, such as the Bot Framework SDK for developing chatbots. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Bot Service integrates powerful AI capabilities with Azure Cognitive Services to enable you to keep up with technological advances without any machine learning experience. Improve the user experience by allowing them to interact with your bot using natural language and voice features. Azure Cognitive Services allows you to incorporate mechanisms such as speech recognition into your applications from APIs without the need for machine learning expertise. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop serverless applications. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Machine Learning is a development platform for coding machine learning. Developers and data scientists can take advantage of a variety of productivity experiences to build, train, and deploy machine learning models faster. Option 5 is incorrect. Azure IoT Hub is a platform that manages connections with IoT devices. It provides a cloud-hosted solution backend that allows you to connect virtually any device, extend your solution from the cloud to the edge with per-device authentication, built-in device management, and scaled provisioning. Question 76. Which Azure service can be used to collect events from multiple resources into one repository? And the options are option 1, Azure Analysis Services. Option 2, Azure Monitor. Option 3, Azure Log Analytics. And option 4, Azure Event Hubs. And the correct answer is option 4, Azure Event Hubs. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Event Hubs is a big data streaming platform and event capture service. It can receive and process millions of events per second. By using Azure Event Hubs, you can import events from multiple resources into a centralized repository. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Analysis Services is incorrect because it is the data analysis service used to build the data model. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Monitor collects monitoring metrics from a variety of on-premises and Azure sources. It does not have the ability to centrally manage events. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Log Analytics is a service that can collect and analyze logs of Azure services. It does not have the ability to centrally manage events. Question 77. Please select the correct option to fill in the following blank. From Dash, you can track company regulatory standards and regulations such as ISO 27001. And the options are option 1, Azure Cloud Shell, option 2, Microsoft Cloud Partner Portal, option 3, Compliance Manager, option 4, Microsoft Trust Center. And the correct answer is option 3, Compliance Manager. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Compliance Manager allows you to track, assign, and validate regulatory compliance activities for organizations related to Microsoft Cloud services. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Cloud Shell is a browser shell for managing Azure resources and is not relevant here. Option 2 is incorrect. The Microsoft Cloud Partner Portal is a collection of common inquiries and response documents. It is not relevant here. Option 4 is incorrect. The Microsoft Trust Center is a web page that contains information and details about how Microsoft supports security, privacy, and compliance and transparency in all Microsoft Cloud products and services, and is not relevant here. Question 78. You want to configure a virtual machine to run a PowerShell script that can create an Azure resource. Solution. Configure a Linux virtual machine to run script from the Azure CLI tools. Will the solution meet the above requirements? And the options are option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 1, yes. Explanation. Yes is the correct answer. Users can run PowerShell scripts on Linux operating systems that already have Azure CLI tools installed. Question 79. You're building a process in Azure to store over 30 terabyte of data and perform data analysis with Microsoft Power BI. The amount of data is large, but the frequency of access to the data is low. Choose the two best solutions. And the options are Azure Data Lake, option 2, Azure SQL Database, option 3, Azure Cosmos Database, option 4, Azure Database for PostgreSQL, option 5, Azure Synapse Analytics. And the correct answers are option 1, Azure Data Lake, and option 5, Azure Synapse Analytics. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Data Lake is a storage repository suitable for holding large amounts of data with 30 terabyte of data stored. The data lake can scale up to terabytes and petabytes of data. Option 5 is the correct answer. Azure Synapse Analytics is a data warehouse that can perform data analysis in cooperation with Azure Data Lake. You can import or export data directly from the Azure Data Lake store to your Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Cosmos DB is incorrect as it is a fully managed NoSQL database service for modern app development. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure SQL database is incorrect because it is a fully managed intelligent relational cloud database. It eliminates the complexity of configuring and managing high availability, tuning, backup, and other database tasks with a fully managed SQL database. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Database for PostgreSQL is a relational database service in the Microsoft Cloud and is therefore incorrect. Question 80. Multiple Azure virtual machines are hosted in your Azure environment. You want to make a virtual machine named VM1 accessible via HTTP from the internet. Select the two best solutions from the following. Option 1. Change your DDoS protection plan. Option 2. Modify Azure Firewall. Option 3. Change the Azure Traffic Manager profile to US Government. Option 4. Change the network security group. And the correct answers are Option 2. Modify Azure firewall. And Option 4. Change the network security group. Explanation. Options 2 and 4 are correct answers. By setting network security groups and firewalls, you can set communication rules between the internet and Azure resources. You can also set communication rules between Azure resources. For example, you can set the accepted protocols when communicating with Azure resources and the range of access source IP addresses. Option 1 is incorrect. DDoS protection is a service to prevent DDoS attacks and has nothing to do with controlling access to VMs. Option 3 is incorrect. The Traffic Manager profile is a DNS-based load balancer primarily used for traffic distribution across regions and has nothing to do with controlling access to VMs. Question 81. You are using Azure AD Connect to configure single sign-on. For this, you have enabled staging mode, but you need to check the synchronization result between ADs. What would you use to check this? And the options are Option 1. The display of the Azure AD Connect console. Option 2. Azure Monitor. Option 3. Run start add sync cycle from Azure Powershell. Option 4. Synchronization Service Manager. And the correct answer is Option 4. Synchronization Service Manager. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. The Synchronization Service Manager is used to configure the more advanced aspects of synchronization engine and to verify the operational aspects of the service. This allows you to check the synchronization execution details and status. Option 1 is incorrect. You can't see this detail on the display of the Azure AD Connect console. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Monitor collects monitoring metrics from a variety of on-premises and Azure sources. You cannot view the synchronization details here. Option 3 is incorrect. Start add sync cycle from Azure PowerShell is an execution command that immediately reflects the AD settings. There is no way to view the synchronization status here. Question 82. Is the following statement true? You can download the regulatory compliance report from the Azure Security Center. And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 1, yes. Explanation. The correct answer is yes. A new feature in Azure Security Center, the Regulatory Compliance Dashboard, is now available. This compliance dashboard continuously monitors your Azure and hybrid environment against specific compliance requirements. It can also provide security assessments and recommendations as needed. This dashboard also provides actionable information on steps to reduce risk factors in your environment and improve your overall compliance regime. The information generated by the dashboard can be provided to internal and external auditors as evidence of compliance with the standards. Compliance reports can be easily generated and downloaded directly from the compliance dashboard. Question 83. Your company currently has an infrastructure that utilizes 100 servers in an on-premises environment and now requires the flexibility to configure additional servers on top of this. This solution should minimize cost of capital and operating costs. What solution will fit the above requirements? And the options are Option 1, complete migration to the public cloud. Option 2, hybrid cloud with Azure and on-premises environment. Option 3, add server to data center. Option 4, complete migration to private cloud. And the correct answer is Option 2, hybrid cloud with Azure and on-premises environment. Explanation. In this scenario, you need to create flexible environment, meaning that you are able to add additional servers on top of 100 servers you have in your on-premises environment already. As a requirement, you must control costs in terms of both operating costs and capital investment. Therefore, option 2, hybrid cloud, is the correct answer. While utilizing the server in the on-premises environment, you can add cloud server resources, keeping the additional investment costs low. Option 1 is incorrect. A full migration to the public cloud can be quite costly. Option 3 is incorrect. Additional servers in the data center are not suitable because they require a physical server and initial investment is expensive. Option 4 is incorrect. Private clouds provide additional resources to users but are costly to prepare and maintain. Question 84. Please select the option to fill in the following blank. You have an application that consists of an Azure web app with a service level agreement of 99.95% and an Azure SQL database with an SLA of 99.99%. And the options are: option 1. The SLA for this application is the multiplication of both SLAs, which is 99.94%. Option 2. This SLA for this application is the lowest SLA associated with the application, which is 99.95%. Option 3. It is 99.99% because it is the highest of the SLAs associated with this application. And option 4. It is the difference between SLAs of two Azure services, so it is 0.05. And the correct answer is option 1. The SLA for this application is the multiplication of both SLAs, which is 99.94%. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. The option is correct because the application's composite SLA is found by multiplying the individual SLAs of which the application consists of. The application is built on Azure web app and the Azure SQL database. The individual SLAs are 99.95% and 99.99%. And so the overall application SLA is a product of these composite SLAs, 99.95 into 99.99, which equals to 99.94. Question 85. Is the following statement true? Companies can extend their internal network by adding their physical servers to the public cloud. And the options are: option 1, yes; option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 2, no. Explanation. The correct answer is no. According to the responsibility sharing model, physical servers are hosted and maintained by the cloud service provider, in this case Azure. Companies can extend their internal network to the public cloud, but they cannot add physical servers to the public cloud. Question 86. Please select the correct option to fill in the following blank. Dash allows you to view users who have shut down certain virtual machines in the last 14 days. And the options are: option 1, Azure Monitor; option 2, Azure Event Hubs; option 3, Azure Activity Log; option 4, Azure Service Health. And the correct answer is option 3, Azure Activity Log. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. You can get this record by using the Azure Activity Log, letting you track who has shut down virtual machines in the last 14 days. The Activity Log is an Azure platform log that provides analytics for subscription-level events. This includes information such as when resources change or when a virtual machine is started. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is incorrect because it is used for detecting and diagnosing problems throughout the application. It is also used to collect and analyze data from the Azure public cloud and on-premises environments. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Event Hubs is an event capture service and is incorrect as a method to record VM changes. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Service Health is incorrect because it is for providing health checks of the various Azure services and resources in your Azure subscription. Question 87. Is the following statement true? Inbound data traffic from your on-premises network to Azure is always free when using Azure Express Route connections. And the options are option 1, yes, option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 1, yes. Explanation. The correct answer is yes. Azure Express Route is used to transfer data from your on-premises data center to Azure Public Cloud. When you use Express Route to transfer data from your on-premises data center to the Azure Public Cloud, you are not charged for inbound data transfer. Question 88. True or false? When using SaaS, it is the user's responsibility to configure high availability. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Software as a service is a software solution that users purchase from cloud service providers such as Azure, and it is a form of using already completed software via the internet. Therefore, a high availability configuration should be managed by the service provider. Question 65. You need to be aware of the latest Azure security standards to protect your data. Which of the following services should you use to ensure this? And the options are option 1, Azure Government, option 2, Online Terms of Service, option 3, Trust Center, option 4, Azure Compliance Documentation. And the correct answer is option 3, Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. The Trust Center implements Microsoft's principles for maintaining data integrity in the cloud, and Microsoft implements security, privacy, compliance, and transparency in all Microsoft Cloud products and services. The Trust Center is an important part of the Microsoft Trusted Cloud initiative, providing support and resources regarding the legal information and compliance. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Government is another Microsoft Azure service. It addresses the security and compliance needs of US federal agencies, state and local governments, and their solution providers. Azure Government provides physical isolation from non-US government agencies and has the ability to screen US personnel. Option 2 is incorrect. The Online Terms of Service is a legal agreement between Microsoft and you. The OST details obligations of both parties regarding the processing and security of customer and personal data. Option 4 is incorrect. The Azure Compliance document provides detailed documentation on Azure legal and regulatory standards and compliance. You can also see the reference blueprints that can be applied directly to your Azure subscription. Question 66. Which solution should you use to assess whether your Azure environment meets security regulatory requirements? And the options are option 1, Knowledge Center website, option 2, Azure Advisor, option 3, Compliance Manager, option 4, Azure Security Center. And the correct answer is option 4, Azure Security Center. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure Security Center is a support service that helps you prevent, detect, and respond to threats by visualizing and controlling the security of your Azure resources. The Security Center continually views new resources deployed throughout your workload, evaluates whether they are configured according to security best practices, and flags them otherwise. It also provides a prioritized list of recommendations for the corrections needed to protect your machine. It provides integrated security monitoring and policy management across subscriptions and assess whether your Azure environment meets regulatory requirements. Option 1 is incorrect. The Knowledge Center is incorrect because it is a website for question and answer that provides all the commonly sought after answers relating to Azure services. Option 2 is incorrect. Advisor is a personalized cloud consultant that you use to help follow best practices in optimizing your Azure deployment. Option 3 is incorrect. Compliance Manager is a workflow-based risk assessment tool listed on Microsoft Service Trust portal. Compliance Manager allows you to track, assign, and validate regulatory compliance activities for organizations related to Microsoft professional services such as Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics 365, and Microsoft Azure, as well as Microsoft Cloud Services. Question 67. Is this statement true? Azure pay-as-you-go pricing is an example of CapEx. And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 2, no. Explanation. The correct answer is no. CapEx refers to capital expenditures and capital investment made to improve businesses' productivity and increase assets. Therefore, Azure pay-as-you-go plans are not an example of CapEx and is not the correct answer. OpEx is the various expenses required to operate a business. Pay-as-you-go is an example of OpEx, a type of subscription in which you pay for what you use. Question 68. Is the following statement true? Azure Security Center can monitor both Azure resources and on-premises resources. And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 1, yes. Explanation. The correct answer is yes. Azure Security Center is an integrated infrastructure security management system that enhances the security structure of your data center. It has advanced threat protection that protects your entire hybrid workload in the cloud and on-premises, whether in Azure or not. You can also see the status of your resources and whether they are secure. So it's the correct answer. Question 69. Which cloud service format allows users to use services that have already been created and pay for them in the form of subscription model? And the options are Option 1, PaaS, Option 2, IaaS, Option 3, SaaS, and Option 4, DaaS. And the correct answer is Option 3, SaaS. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Software as a service is a cloud-based software that allows you to use features and services as needed. Option 1 is incorrect. Platform as a service is a cloud format that provides a set of platforms such as hardware and OS for running the application software as a service. Option 2 is incorrect. Infrastructure as a service is a cloud format that allows you to use the hardware required to use servers, etc. over the network. Option 4 is incorrect. Desktop as a service is a virtual desktop, a cloud service that provides a desktop virtualization system deployed in a cloud environment. Question 70. You are developing an application in a resource group using Azure Virtual Network and Azure App Service. Based on compliance standards, you should prevent the creation of new virtual machines within this resource group from sources other than Azure App Services. Which of the following would you use to maintain this standard? And the options are Option 1, Azure Policy, Option 2, role. Option 3, tag. Option 4, lock. And the correct answer is option 1, explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. You can restrict the creation, update, deletion of resources with Azure policy. Azure policy allows you to apply your organization standard and assess compliance on a large scale. You can use Azure policies to apply rules to management or resource groups which can limit the space available for creating resources. This policy applies to all subscriptions and resources under that management group by only allowing the creation of resources in that region. Users in each office can only define and evaluate policies in Azure resources in the region of the country where each office is located. Option 2 is incorrect. Roles provide the ability to manage permissions on resources, so you cannot restrict the creation of resources with these. Option 3 is incorrect. Tags are used only for resource identification purposes. Option 4 is incorrect. Locks are used to prevent changes to Azure subscriptions, resource groups, or resources, and you can't limit the creation of resources. Question 57. True or false? When you delete a resource group, all the resources in the resource group are deleted. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Deleting a resource group deletes all resources in the resource group. A resource group is a collection of Azure resources with specified requirements and is a logical container for all Azure resources in your Azure subscription. Therefore, when a resource group is deleted, all resources in the resource group are also deleted. Question 58. True or false? Resource groups can only contain resources from the same Azure region, and the options are option 1, true, option 2, false, and the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. A resource group can contain resources from multiple Azure regions. After the Create Resource Group page is displayed, you need to enter an appropriate resource group name and select a region. Question 59. True or false? A resource group can contain resources from multiple Azure regions. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. A resource group can contain resources from multiple Azure regions. When creating an Azure resource using the portal or CLI commands, users can choose from multiple regions in which to create. The resources in a resource group can be located in different regions than the resource group. When you create a resource group, you need to provide a location for that resource group. You may be wondering, why does a resource group need a location? And if the resources can have different locations than the resource group, why does the resource group location matter at all? The resource group stores metadata about the resources. When you specify a location for the resource group, you are specifying where the metadata is stored. For compliance reasons, you may need to ensure that your data is stored in a particular region. Except in global resources like Azure Content Delivery Network, Azure DNS, Azure Traffic Manager, and Azure Front Door. If a resource group's region is temporarily unavailable, you can't update resources in the resource group because the metadata is unavailable. The resources in other regions will still function as expected, but you can't update them. Question number 60. You are using Azure App to develop multiple web applications. Which of the following URLs are used to manage the web application on Azure App? And the options are option 1, azure.portal.microsoft.com. Option 2, azure.portal.com. Option 3, portal.azure.net. Option 4, portal.azure.com. And the correct answer is option 4, portal.azure.com. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. If you need to create and manage an Azure web app, you can do it from the Azure portal as shown below. The URL for the Azure portal is portal.azure.com. Option 1 is incorrect. This URL is the Microsoft portal screen, not the admin screen for the Azure web app. Option 2 and 3 are incorrect. The URL does not exist. Question 61. As an operations manager, you are in charge of managing each service in Azure. You are looking to find advice about maintenance-related events for Azure resources. Which service located on the Azure portal would you use? And the options are option 1, Azure Advisor, option 2, Security Center, option 3, Help and Support, option 4, Cost Management and Billing. And the correct answer is option 2, Security Center. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. You can find more information about maintenance in the Help and Support on the Azure portal. Planned maintenance information can be found on Service Health page. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Advisor is a feature that provides only recommendations on cost, security, performance, operational excellence, high availability, and more. Option 2 is incorrect. The Security Center is a feature that provides details about policies and compliance, threat protection, and more. Option 3 is incorrect. Cost Management and Billing is a feature that provides only billing coverage and cost management details. Question 62. You have just created an Azure account and are preparing to deploy Azure services. Which of the following should be created next? And the options are option 1, Virtual Network, option 2, Free Account, option 3, Subscription, option 4, Azure AD. And the correct answer is option 3, Subscription. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. After creating an Azure account, you first need to create a subscription and then configure resource groups, etc. Within that subscription, you can set up multiple subscriptions for one account. Question 63. You are preparing a server for application development using Azure. To do this, you need to create an Azure virtual machine using your Android laptop. Solution. Use Bash with Azure Cloud Shell. Will this achieve the goal? And the options are option 1, yes, option 2, no. And the correct answer is option 1, yes. Yes is the correct answer. You can use Bash from Cloud Shell by logging into the Azure portal from your Android laptop. Then you can create a new virtual machine from Bash with CLI. Cloud Shell is a management machine for Azure, managed by Microsoft. Azure Cloud Shell gives you the flexibility to choose the best shell operation for your business. Both Bash and Powershell are possible options for this. Question 64. Your company has 500 virtual machines hosted on a Hyper-V host in an on-premises environment. You plan to move all of these to Azure. What will the spending model of your company be after migrating to Azure? And the options are option 1, Capital Expenditure, option 2, Operating Expenditure, option 3, Elasticity, option 4, Scalability. And the correct answer is option 2, Operating Expenditure. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. With Azure, you pay only for what you use, and there is no initial cost. Details of capital expenditure and operating expenditure are as follows. Capital expenditure. Capital expenditure incurs the cost of physical infrastructure in advance, to which tax deductions can be made over a period of time. Capital expenditure has an initial cost and will decrease in value over time. Operating expenses. Operating expenses is the amount you are currently spending on services and products and is frequently billed for. These costs will be deducted from the tax claim for that same year. There is no initial cost. You pay as you use a service or product. In other words, spending on cloud services like Azure match closer to concept of operating expenditure as opposed to CapEx. Which of the following explanations about Azure usage costs is correct? And the options are: Option 1. Azure provides flexibility for capital expenditure and operating expenditure. Option 2. If you create two Azure virtual machines of the same size, the monthly usage fee for each virtual machine will be exactly the same. Option 3. If you stop the Azure virtual machine, you don't have to pay for the storage associated with the virtual machine. Option 4. You can see the unused resources that can be deleted by Azure support. And the correct answer is Option 1. Azure provides flexibility for capital expenditure and operating expenditure. The correct answer is Option 1. Cloud services like Azure provides flexibility between capital expenditure and operational expenditure. This makes it possible to convert capital expenditures, which are equipment costs such as data centers, into operating costs. Option 2 is incorrect. Two Azure virtual machines of the same size do not always generate the same monthly cost. This is because it also depends on the region where the virtual machine is located, as each has a different cost. Option 3 is incorrect. If your Azure virtual machine goes down, you will continue to pay for storage if you don't end this. Option 4 is incorrect. Running Azure Advisor will let you know which unused resources you can or might want to remove. Question number 48. True or false? Maintaining performance during load fluctuations is an example of cloud flexibility. And the options are: Option 1, true; Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Maintaining performance during load fluctuations is an example of cloud scalability. In the cloud, high scalability is also one of the advantages. Since the settings of the cloud can be changed on the web via the internet, changes can be made easily and instantly according to the environment, such as increasing the number of servers used. This is called cloud scalability. Next question. True or false? The flexibility to adjust resource allocation is an example of cloud flexibility. And the options are: Option 1, true; Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Being able to use as much cloud resources as you need as your system grows is an example of cloud flexibility. The cloud allows you to freely use and stop services according to your needs, and you will pay a fee according to the time you use it. Question 50. True or false? The ability to continue the usage of service in the event of a failure is an example of cloud flexibility. And the options are: Option 1, true; Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Continuing service in the event of a failure is an example of cloud resiliency. Each Azure region has at least 3 separate zones to ensure resiliency. As a result, services can be made redundant and recovery in the event of a failure can be facilitated. This is important when compared to having only physical infrastructure. Question 51. True or false? The ability to maintain a DR, disaster recovery, configuration in other regions is an example of cloud flexibility. The options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Maintaining a DR configuration in other regions is an example of cloud resiliency. For example, in Azure, you can use Azure Site Recovery to continuously replicate virtual machines and physical servers at your on-premises primary site and replicate them to your secondary site's servers in the event of a failure to quickly recover. Question 52. True or false? In order to move to a hybrid cloud, we need to move from a private cloud. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. To implement a hybrid cloud model, it is possible to migrate from the public cloud model or the private cloud model. You can choose the migration method according to your company's needs and current cloud model usage. Question 53. True or false? You can use the public cloud to expand the capacity of your internal network. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Companies can use the public cloud to expand the capacity of their internal network. If your enterprise needs additional resources, you can deploy them inside the public cloud network, which allows you to extend your internal network. Question 54. True or false? In order to move to a hybrid cloud, we need to move from a public cloud. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. To implement a hybrid cloud model, it is possible to migrate from a public cloud model or a private cloud model. You can choose the migration method based on your company's needs and the current cloud model type. Next question. True or false? The public cloud only allows guest users from within the company to access resources in the cloud. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2. Explanation. The correct answer is false. The public cloud is accessible to guest users within the company, but it is also accessible to legitimate users such as employees. By linking your Azure account and AD, you can grant Azure access to those who have been given a user ID by AD in the company. Question 56. True or false? Azure resources can only access other resources in the same resource group. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. The correct answer is false. Access to resources within another resource group is not restricted. A resource group is a container that holds related resources for your Azure solution. A resource group can contain all resources of the solution or only the resources that you want to manage as a group. You can specify how to allocate resources to resource groups based on your organization needs. In general, you add resources that share the same lifecycle to the same resource group so that you can easily deploy, update, and delete them as a group. A resource group is a mechanism for managing resources collectively and is not used for controls such as access control. Next question. You are considering migrating from your on-premises environment to Azure. You need to estimate the cost savings over time when running your solution on Azure. Which is the best solution for that? And the options are option 1, price calculation tool, option 2, TCO calculation tool, option 3, Azure Advisor, option 4, Azure Reservations. And the correct answer is option 2, TCO calculation tool. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. You can use the TCO calculator to estimate the cost of running your solution in Azure instead of in your on-premises data center over time? Option 1 is incorrect. Pricing tools can estimate the cost of running a basic web application in Azure. This is a tool used for detailed quotations when using individual services, not for a cloud migration. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Advisor provides recommendations on how to reduce the cost of running Azure virtual machines. Option 4 is incorrect. With Azure Reservations, you get discounted rates for certain Azure services. Save up to 70% on pay-as-you-go rates with Azure bookings. Next question. True or false? When you stop on Azure virtual machine, you will continue to pay for the storage costs associated with the virtual machine. And the options are Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. If you shut down from outside of Azure portal, that is from the OS or the VM itself, the virtual machine according to the specified procedure, it will be stopped. In this state, the virtual machine incurs charges for CPU and memory allocation, but not for the license. When the VM is shut down from the Azure portal, it goes into a stopped state and the VM will not incur charges for VM compute resources. However, you still have to pay for the OS and data storage disks connected to the VM. Therefore, the correct answer is true. Next question. Even if Azure resources are available in all regions, not all regions are available to users. And the options are Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Even if Azure resources are available in all regions, not all regions are available to users. For example, there is an availability zone that is specifically assigned to the US government and has restricted general usage. Next question. Please select the correct option to fill in the following blank. Azure services are available to all Azure users during dash. And the options are Option 1, public preview. Option 2, private preview. Option 3, development. Option 4, enterprise agreement subscription. And the correct answer is Option 1, public preview. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. The public preview service is available to all users. Option 2 is incorrect. The private preview is only available to some users. Option 3 is incorrect. Not all users have access to Azure services during development. Option 4 is incorrect. Enterprise agreement subscriptions are only available to some users. Next question. You are preparing a server for application development using Azure. To do this, you need to create an Azure virtual machine using your Android laptop. Solution. Use the Power Apps portal. Will this solution achieve the goal? And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 2, no. No is the correct answer. You can only create new VMs from the Azure portal, not from the Power Apps portal. You would use the Power Apps portal to create external websites that allow users outside your organization to sign in with different identities, create and view data in Microsoft Dataverse, and browse content anonymously. This is not the service to use when creating a virtual machine. Next question. Your company is planning to move from an on-premises environment to Azure, but you are only able to use the PaaS solutions. Solution. Use Azure App Service and have Microsoft SQL Server installed. Does this solution meet the requirements? And the options are Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 2, no. Explanation. No is the correct answer. It is possible to build applications using Azure App Services, but Microsoft SQL Server needs to work with Azure resources in IaaS. Azure App Service is a fully managed platform and platform service for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. Azure App Service allows you to quickly build, deploy, and scale web apps and APIs. You can use .NET, .NET Core, Node.js, Java, Python, PHP running inside a container or on Windows or Linux. Next question. Your company requires that when an Azure Active Directory user connects to Azure AD from the internet using an anonymous IP address, the user must automatically request a password change. Which Azure service do you need to use to do this? And the options are Option 1, Azure AD Connect Health. Option 2, Azure AD Privileged ID Management. Option 3, Azure Advanced Threat Protection. And option 4, Azure AD Identity Protection. And the correct answer is option 4, Azure AD Identity Protection. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. Azure AD Identity Protection requires users who sign from the internet with an anonymous IP address to change their password and self-heal. Identity protection is a tool that allows organizations to perform three main tasks: automate identity-based risk detection and action, investigate risk using portal data, export risk detection data to third-party utilities for further analysis. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure AD Connect Health is incorrect because it is used to monitor identity governance or identity infrastructure for on-premises resources or servers. You can use the Azure AD Connect Health portal to view alerts, performance monitoring, usage analysis, and other information. Option 2 is incorrect. Privileged identity management in Azure AD is incorrect. This is used to provide just-in-time access, prevent malicious activity, and provide a fully integrated review of privileged roles in real time. It also helps you manage privileged administrator roles across Azure resources and Azure AD. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Advanced Threat Protection, as the name implies, is used to detect threats from an on-premises resources. It is incorrect because the question is not regarding internal sources. Next question. Please select the option to fill in the following blank. If the resource group named My Resource Group has a delete lock, dash. And the options are Option 1, only members of the Global Administrators Group can delete My Resource Group. Option 2, the delete lock must be released in order for the administrator to delete the My Resource Group. Option 3, administrator needs to change Azure policy in order to delete My Resource Group. Option 4, administrator needs to add an Azure tag in order to delete My Resource Group. And the correct answer is Option 2, the delete lock must be released in order for the administrator to delete the My Resource Group. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. When you lock a resource group, the lock applies to all resources in the target group. Therefore, if the administrator wants to delete the target resource, the deletion lock must be released. If a resource group has a lock applied to it, even the administrator cannot delete the resource group. Option 1 is incorrect. Even global administrators cannot delete resource groups as long as locks are in effect. Option 3 is incorrect. Policies are used to apply compliance and organizational rules to resources and are not related to locks. Option 4 is incorrect. Tags are used for logical grouping of resources and are not related to locks. Next question. You have created a resource group named Resource 1 in Azure Resource Manager. What settings do you need to prevent accidental deletion of resource 1's resources? And the options are option 1, deletion protection settings, option 2, lock settings, option 3, Azure policy settings, option 4, property abstinence. And the answer is option 2, lock settings. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Once the lock is applied at the resource group level, the resources in the group cannot be deleted. Administrators may need to lock subscriptions, resource groups, or resources to prevent other users in your organization from accidentally deleting or modifying critical resources. The lock level can be set to cannot delete or read only. In the portal, these locks are listed as delete and read only, respectively. Option 1 is incorrect. There is no feature called delete protection for resource groups. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure policy is a function that allows you to define and evaluate rules for using Azure. This does not prevent the removal of resources from the resource group. Option 4 is incorrect. The property abstinence is incorrect. This provides details for a particular resource group and does not prevent the deletion of resources within the resource group. Question 35. True or false? Azure Advisor provides advice on improving the security of your on-premise Active Directory environment. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure Advisor provides a way to improve the security of your Azure resources, but it doesn't provide a way to improve the security of your on-premise Active Directory, which is Azure AD environment. Azure Advisor integrates with Azure Security Center, which can provide security recommendations to Azure AD and all Azure resources. Azure Advisor is a personalized cloud consultant that optimizes your Azure deployment according to the best practices. Resource configuration and usage statistics are analyzed to recommend solutions that help improve the cost-effectiveness, performance, reliability, formerly high availability, and security of Azure resources. Next question. True or false? Azure Advisor is where you can file a cap relaxation request for resource limits. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure Advisor is a service that provides solutions that help you improve cost-effectiveness, performance, reliability, and security, and you cannot file a cap relaxation request for resource limits here. Question 37. True or false? Azure Advisor provides cost-cutting recommendations. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. The correct answer is true. Azure Advisor provides recommendations on how to reduce the cost of running Azure virtual machines. Advisors provide relevant best practices to help you improve reliability, security, performance, achieve operational excellence, and reduce costs. Configure the advisor to target specific subscriptions and resource groups, focusing on critical optimizations. You can access the advisor using the Azure portal, the Azure command line interface, or the Azure API. Alternatively, configure alerts to automatically notify you of new recommendations. Next question. True or false? Azure Advisor is available for free, and the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 1, true. Explanation. The correct answer is true. Azure Advisor is a service that provides solutions that help you improve cost-effectiveness, performance, reliability, and security, and is available for free. Next question. Your company needs to run 10 Windows Server 2016 and 20 Linux virtual machines on a regular basis and remove them after their task processing is finished. Which Azure service should you use to minimize the administrative effort required to deploy and delete these virtual machines? And the options are: Option 1, Microsoft Virtual Desktop. Option 2, Azure Reserved VM Instances. Option 3, Azure Dev Test Labs. Option 4, Azure Virtual Machine Scale Set. And the correct answer is Option 3, Azure Dev Test Labs. Explanation: Option 3 is the correct answer. You can use Azure Dev Test Labs to build a fast, easy development or test environment. It is possible to set the number of virtual machines by using the Azure Resource Manager template to configure the required number of virtual machines and settings in advance. Option 1 is incorrect. Microsoft Virtual Desktop is a desktop and app virtualization service that runs in the cloud. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Reserved VM Instances launches virtual machines of any size in the reserved instance size group. So you can't specify and launch an instance of a particular size. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets allow you to create and manage groups of virtual machines and distribute the load within the same group, which is used when building large-scale services. Question 25. You need to create an Azure support request. Choose the two best solutions. And the options are: Option 1, Azure Support Ticket REST API. Option 2, Azure Portal. Option 3, Knowledge Center. Option 4, Security and Compliance Center. Option 5, support.microsoft.com. And the correct answer is Option 1, Azure Support Ticket REST API, and Option 2, Azure Portal. Explanation: Option 1 and 2 are correct answer. You can make a support request from the Azure Portal. You can also use the Azure Support Ticket REST API to programmatically create and manage requests. Option 3 is incorrect. Knowledge Center is incorrect. Knowledge Center is a collection of common questions and answers about Azure. Option 4 is incorrect. The Security and Compliance Center only provides operations related to security and regulatory compliance. Option 5 is incorrect. Support requests are made from the Azure portal instead of support.microsoft.com. Question 26. You plan to build your application with an Azure virtual machine. Redundancy must be ensured so that the services running on the virtual machine are available in the event of a single data center failure. Solution: deploy the virtual machine to 2 or more AZs or more AZs. Does this solution meet the requirements? And the options are: Option 1, yes. Option 2, no. And the correct answer is Option 1, yes. Explanation: yes is the correct answer. Deploying VMs to more than one availability zone can keep them available in the event of a single data center failure. Question 27. You want to collaborate on application development with high-performance pipelines and GIT repositories. Which is the best Azure solution for that? And the options are: Option 1, Azure Dev Test Labs. Option 2, Azure Teams. Option 3, Azure DevOps. Option 4, Visual Studio Team Services. And the correct answer is Option 3, Azure DevOps. Explanation: Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure DevOps uses development collaboration tools such as high-performance pipelines, free private GIT repositories, configurable Kanban boards, and extensively automated cloud-based load testing. Option 1 is incorrect. Dev Test Labs is for quickly creating Windows and Linux environments as needed to test or demo your applications directly from the deployment pipeline. Option 2 is incorrect. There is no service called Azure Teams. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure DevOps was formerly known as Visual Studio Team Services. This is the old service name. Question 28. Your company has an on-premises environment and multiple servers and databases. They plan to migrate multiple servers to Azure in the future. Which tasks are alleviated in your administrative work compared to your on-premises environment? Please select 2. The options are Option 1. Physical server replacement. Option 2. Server operating system update. Option 3. Operational document management. Option 4. Access authority management. Option 5. Applying security patches for physical servers. And the correct answer is Option 1. Physical server replacement. Explanation. Option 1 and 5 are correct answers. According to Azure Responsibility Sharing Model, the Azure side will be responsible for managing all physical hardware. Therefore, in the event of a hardware server failure, it is Azure's responsibility to replace them as needed. Replacing the physical server and applying security patches for the physical server are management tasks that should be performed on the data center side, so they cannot be performed on the user side. Option 2 is incorrect. When using an Azure virtual machine, it is required that the user perform work such as updating the OS. Option 3 is incorrect. It is required for the user to create and manage the user's own operation document for sharing the Azure Operation Management Policy among the user members. Option 4 is incorrect. Access management is a matter that should be managed on the user side using Azure AD. Question 29. True or false? The availability zone consists of a single data center. And the options are Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Availability zone are unique physical locations within your Azure region. Each zone consists of one or more data centers with independent power supplies, cooling means, and networks. Question number 30. True or false? Availability zones are used to replicate data and applications to multiple regions. And the options are Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2, false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. By default, Azure availability zones are used to replicate applications and data only within an Azure region. Availability zones are physically separated within a region, so you can protect your applications and data in the event of a data center failure. Zone redundancy services replicate applications and data across availability zones to protect against a single point of failure. In availability zones, Azure delivers the industry's highest 99.99% VM uptime SLAs. Question 31. True or false? Each region has at least 3 separate zones. And the options are Option 1, true. Option 2, false. And the correct answer is Option 2. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Not all regions have availability zones. Regions that support availability zones have a minimum of 3 separate zones to ensure resiliency. So it is not necessarily true that all regions will have 3 availability zones. Next question. Please select the option to fill in the following blanks. After you create a virtual machine, you need to change the dash to allow the virtual machine to connect to TCP port 8080. And the options are Option 1, Network Security Group NSG. Option 2, Virtual Network Gateway. Option 3, Virtual Network. Option 4, Root Table. And the correct answer is Option 1, Network Security Group NSG. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. By default, all inbound connections are not allowed on L4. So unless you have a network interface, you need to modify the rules of the network security group so that all inbound connections from port 80/8080 can reach the VM. Option 2 is incorrect. The Azure Virtual Network Gateway is a VPN device in the Azure Virtual Network that is used to set up a site-to-site VPN connection between the Azure Virtual Network and the local network, or a VNet to VNet VPN connection. Option 3 is incorrect. A virtual network is nothing more than a private isolated network in Azure, because it is used to enable Azure resources such as virtual machines to communicate securely with other Azure resources, the internet, and resources in your on-premises network. Option 4 is incorrect. The Azure route table is incorrect because it only contains a set of rules that specify how packets are routed in the virtual network. Question 15. Which of the following Azure management tools are available for Mac OS? Please select the 3 most appropriate tools, and the options are Option 1, Azure CLI. Option 2, Azure PowerShell. Option 3, Azure Mac Management. Option 4, Azure Portal. Option 5, Azure Console. And the answers are Option 1, 2 and 4. Explanation. Options 1, 2 and 4 are correct answers. You can use the Azure CLI, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell for Mac OS. The Mac OS operating system is supported by the Azure CLI, Azure Portal, and Azure PowerShell. Starting with PowerShell 6.0, PowerShell Core can run PowerShell on Mac OS and Linux. Question 16. You need a database to store JSON formatted documents. This database needs to be accessed and used from multiple regions at the same time. Which database is best for this? And the options are Option 1, Azure Cosmos DB. Option 2, Azure Synapse Analytics. Option 3, Azure SQL Database. Option 4, Azure Cache for Redis. And the answer is Option 1. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Cosmos DB is a fully managed NoSQL database service for modern app development. It has guaranteed single-digit millisecond response time in 99.999% availability. Azure Cosmos DB can store JSON documents. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Synapse Analytics is a fully managed cloud data warehouse. You can get query results in short time across terabytes and petabytes of data. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure SQL Database is fully managed, intelligent, relational cloud database. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Cache for Redis, a fast, fully managed in-memory data store. It is not suitable for storing JSON documents. Question 17. You want to deploy multiple virtual machines using ARM templates. It is necessary to maintain strong security of credentials such as usernames and passwords outside of the template itself. Please select the best service for this. Option 1, Azure Key Vault. Option 2, Vault Lock. Option 3, Network Security Group. Option 4, User Data. And the answer is Option 1. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. You can manage secrets by using Azure Key Vault. You can securely store tokens, passwords, certificates, API keys, and other secrets, and have tight control over the access to them. Question 18. True or false? All Azure resources deployed in a single resource group must share the same Azure region. And the options are option 1, true, option 2, false. And the correct answer is option 2. Explanation. The correct answer is false. A resource group, a container that holds related resources for an Azure solution, can contain resources from different regions. Question 19. You want to create a resource group named Resource 1 in Azure Resource Manager. What settings would you need to prevent accidental deletion and overwriting of Resource 1's resources? And the options are option 1, set a read-only lock on the resource. Option 2, set a delete lock on the resource. Option 3, set operation locks for resources. And option 4, set delete and update locks on the resources. And the answer is option 1. Explanation. Administrators can look subscriptions, resource groups, or resources to prevent accidental deletion or modification of critical resources. The following looks can be performed. Delete locks allow legitimate users to read and modify resources, but cannot delete them. Read-only locks allow legitimate users to read resources, but cannot update or delete resources. Therefore, option 1 is the correct answer. Question 20. True or false? Azure virtual machines can belong to multiple resource groups. True or false? And the answer is false. Explanation. False is the correct answer. Azure virtual machines are resources that cannot be deployed to multiple resource groups within an Azure subscription. It can only belong to one resource group at a time. Therefore, this is incorrect. Question 21. True or false? All features of Azure Security Center are free. True or false? And the answer is false. Explanation. The correct answer is false. Azure Security Center offers free and paid services. The free tier only provides security policies, ongoing security assessments, and practical security features that help protect your Azure resources. Paid services extend the free tier functionality and add threat protection. It has built-in behavioral analytics and machine learning to identify attacks and zero-day exploits, and uses access and application control to reduce exposure to network attacks and malware. In addition, it has a virtual machine vulnerability scan. Question 22. What are the characteristics of the cloud that allow cloud-based applications to continuously provide a user experience in the event of a problem without incurring downtime? Number 1, reliability. Number 2, scalability. Number 3, elasticity. Number 4, agility. And the answer is option 1. Explanation. Option 1 is the correct answer. Reliability depends on the service level agreement you choose, but in the event of a problem, your cloud-based application will continue to provide the user experience without any obvious downtime. Option 2 is incorrect. Scalability means that applications in the cloud can be scaled or increased in two distinct ways, which are in-out and up-down. Option 3 is incorrect. Elasticity means that cloud-based applications can be configured to always have the resources they need at the moment. Option 4 is incorrect. Agility is cloud-based resources that can be quickly deployed and configured as application requirements change. Question 23. Your company plans to migrate mission-critical systems to Azure virtual machines. The application is being built should guarantee 99.99% availability. What is the minimum number of virtual machines you need to use to maintain this availability? Option 1, 1. Option 2, 2. Option 3, 3. Option 4, 4. And the answer is option 2. Option 2 is the correct answer. Based on the VM's SLA, deploying at least 2 VMs on 2 AZs guarantees 99.99% availability. Therefore, the minimum number of virtual machines is 2. Question 24. You are planning to provision infrastructure as a service resources in Azure. Which of the following resources is an example of IaaS? And the options are: Option A, Azure Web Apps. Option 2, Azure Virtual Machine. Option 3, Azure Logic Apps. And Option 4, Azure SQL Database. And the answer is Option 2. Explanation. The correct answer is Option 2. The Azure Virtual Machine is correct here because the Azure VM is based on IaaS. This gives users more control over their environment and the ability to customize their hosting or development environment. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Web Apps are incorrect as PaaS used to build applications on the Azure platform without deploying, configuring, and maintaining their own Azure virtual machines. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure Logic Apps is incorrect because it is a PaaS that helps you schedule, automate, and coordinate tasks, business processes, and workflows when you need to integrate apps, data, systems, and services across your enterprise or organization. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure SQL is also PaaS, so it's incorrect. SQL acts as a relational database in the cloud that allows users to host data without worrying about the infrastructure. Question 8. Which of the following statements is correct? And the options are: Option 1. Data stored in Azure storage account will have at least 2 copies in the primary region. Option 2. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 3 copies in the secondary region. Option 3. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 2 copies in the secondary region. And Option 4. Data stored in your Azure storage account will have at least 3 copies in the primary region. And the correct answer is Option 4. Option 4 is the correct answer. Data in your Azure storage account is always replicated 3 times in the primary region. The Azure storage account copies the data 3 times within the primary region and keeps things synchronous with each other. It is also asynchronously copied to the secondary region. An Azure storage account contains all Azure storage data objects, blobs, files, queues, tables, and disks. Option 1 is incorrect. Data in your Azure storage account is always replicated 3 times in the primary region. Option 2 and 3 are incorrect. Data replication to the secondary region requires optional settings, and this means it does not always retain a copy. This shouldn't be assumed in the above scenario. Question 9. Your company leverages multiple regions to deploy Azure virtual machines. Users in each office are required to create Azure resources only in the region of the country in which their office is located. Which is the best solution from the below options to make sure that these rules are being followed correctly? Number 1, resource group. Number 2, compliance policy. Number 3, Azure policy. Number 4, Azure rules. And the answer is Option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure policy allows you to apply your organization standards and assess compliance with them on a large scale. You can use Azure policies to apply policies to management groups or resource groups that limit the space available for creating resources. This policy applies to all subscriptions and resources under that management group by only allowing the creation of resources in that region. You can define policies used to limit use of Azure resources to only the region in which each office is located. Question 10. You plan to build a web application using multiple Azure virtual machines. The requirement is to ensure that the services running on the virtual machine do not stop in the event of a single data center failure. Proposed solution: deploy virtual machines in 2 or more regions. In this, the most appropriate solution to meet the above requirements. Number 1, yes. Number 2, no. And the answer is option 2. Explanation: no is the correct answer. A single region is made up of multiple availability zones. Therefore, to prevent a single data center failure, you only need to use multiple availability zones and do not need to have a multi-region configuration. In addition, multi-region support is not optimal in terms of architectural configuration because it is difficult to link virtual machines across regions. Question 11. Which services provides network traffic filtering for multiple Azure subscriptions and virtual networks? Number 1, Azure Firewall. Number 2, Application Security Group. Number 3, Azure DDoS Protection. Number 4, Network Security Group. And the answer is option 1. Explanation: option 1 is the correct answer. Azure Firewall allows you to limit traffic to different virtual networks with multiple subscriptions. Option 2 is incorrect. Application security groups are services for grouping virtual machines and managing access within a virtual network. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DDoS Protection is a service that prevents distributed denial of service attacks. Option 4 is incorrect. A network security group is a service that manages access within a virtual network. Question 12. Which deployment method should you choose to reduce downtime for the application you are deploying? And the options are: option 1, multi-AZ deployment; option 2, multi-region deployment; option 3, single AZ deployment; option 4, multi-subnet deployment. And the correct answer is option 1. Explanation: option 1, Azure's architectural configuration is built around regions and availability zones. Each region is a separate geographical area. Each region is further made up of multiple availability zones. A multi-AZ configuration can increase availability so that downtime does not occur, even if one data center fails. Therefore, multi-AZ is the correct answer. Question 13. What are the security benefits of storing data in the Azure public cloud? And the options are: option 1, Azure staff can protect your data; option 2, users have full control over their data; option 3, data content can be monitored on the Azure side; and number 4, protection is automatically implemented without the need for users to manage their own data security measures. And the correct answer is option 2. Explanation: option 2 is the correct answer. In Azure, all the data used in applications is completely controlled by the user, and Azure themselves do not have the authority to access the data. Options 1 and 3 are incorrect. Azure does not have permission to access the data. Option 4 is incorrect. Users are required to take measures such as data encryption themselves. Question 14. Please fill in the blank. Your company should use dash to automatically add watermarks to Microsoft Word documents that contain credit card information. And the options are: number 1, Azure policy; number 2, Azure DDoS protection; number 3, Azure information protection; and number 4, Azure Active Directory Identity Protection. And the correct answer is option 3. Explanation: option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Information Protection can label content to detect, classify, and protect documents and emails. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure policies are for applying organizational rules and checking compliance of resources. It does not have document protection features. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure DDoS Protection is a service to prevent distributed denial of service. attacks and does not have document protection features. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Active Directory Identity Protection is used for identity-based risk analysis using data from Azure portal and has no document protection capabilities. Question 1. You are building an application using a virtual machine in Azure. As a security requirement, it is necessary to apply Azure multi-factor authentication based on certain conditions. Which Azure service should you choose? And the options are: Option 1, Azure Monitor. Option 2, Azure Security Center. Option 3, Azure Active Directory ID Protection. Option 4, Azure Advanced Threat Protection. And the answer is Option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. This is because Azure Active Directory ID Protection allows you to apply MFA with conditions. It is also used to detect risks such as anonymous IP address logins, unfamiliar sign-ins, and credential leaks. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is incorrect because this is for collecting what is known as application monitoring data, data about the performance and functionality of the code you write, regardless of platform. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Security Center is an integrated infrastructure security management system that enhances the security structure of data center. It's an advanced threat protection feature that protects your entire hybrid workload, both on the cloud and on premises. With this option, you can't use MFA. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure ATP is incorrect because it is used to monitor and analyze user activity and information across the network, such as permissions and group membership. Question 2. Fill in the blank. Dash provides a command platform for deploying objects to your cloud infrastructure and maintaining consistency throughout your Azure environment. The options are: Number 1, Azure Policy. Number 2, Resource Group. Number 3, Azure Resource Manager. Number 4, Management Group. And the answer is Option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure Resource Manager is a service that provides a management layer that allows you to create, update, and delete Azure resources, all while maintaining consistency across your Azure environment. Option 2 is incorrect. A resource group is a group that manages related resources in an Azure solution. Option 4 is incorrect. A management group is a group for managing multiple subscriptions. Question 3. You are planning to extend your company's network to Azure and create a hybrid cloud configuration. In the on-premises environment, a VPN appliance that has the IP address of 136.168.103.1 is used, and it is necessary to identify this on the Azure side. Which is the best solution for this situation? And the options are: Number 1, Route Table. Number 2, Application Gateway. Number 3, Local Network Gateway. Number 4, Network Interface. And the correct answer is Option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. The local network gateway can be used to specify the IP address and the VPN device in the virtual network. This allows Azure to identify VPN appliances that use the IP address of 136.168.103.1. Option 1 is incorrect. The routing table is the route information recorded in the router itself. It is the table to be referred to when performing the routing process, but it does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Option 2 is incorrect. Application gateways are used to load balanced traffic to various web applications. It does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Option 4 is incorrect. The network interface allows Azure VMs to communicate with Internet, Azure, and on-premises resources. It does not identify the IP address of the VPN appliance. Question 4. Which of the following Azure regions is available to Japanese government agencies? Number 1. Azure Global. Number 2. Azure Government. Number 3. Azure Local. Number 4. Azure Japan. And the answer is option 1. Option 1 is the correct answer. The Azure region available to Japanese government agencies is Azure Global. Azure Global is a publicly available region that the average user will use. There is no region dedicated to Japanese government agencies, so Azure Global should be used in this case. Option 2 is incorrect. Azure Government is a mission-critical cloud that delivers breakthrough innovations to US government customers and their partners. Only the US federal government, state governments, local governments, tribal governments, and their partners have access to this dedicated instance, and operations are managed by the selected US citizens. Option 3 is incorrect. There is no region called Azure Local. Option 4 is incorrect. There is no region called Azure Japan. There are Azure China and Azure Germany. Question 5. There is an Azure virtual network named VNET-A in a resource group named My Resource Group. VNET-A dash when you assign an Azure policy that says that My Resource Group is not allowed to create or update virtual networks. And the options are: Number 1 is automatically deleted. Number 2 is automatically moved to another resource group. Number 3 will continue to function normally. And number 4 becomes a read-only object. And the answer is option 3. Explanation. Option 3 is the correct answer. Azure policies do not affect the pre-apply configuration. Therefore, VNet-A works fine because it was already created before the Azure policy was created. However, My Resource Group does not allow you to create any more VNETs. Question 6. Your company wants to use a serverless application to automate the data registration process. Which Azure service should you use? And the options are: Number 1, Azure App Service. Number 2, Azure Functions. Number 3, Azure DevOps. Number 4, Azure Monitor. And the answer is option 2. Explanation. Option 2 is the correct answer. Azure Functions is an event-driven serverless computing platform that can solve complex orchestration problems. You can use this to develop serverless applications. Option 1 is incorrect. Azure App Service is a fully managed development platform for building, deploying, and scaling web apps. Option 3 is incorrect. Azure DevOps is a development and operations service that enables smarter planning and DevOps working using the latest set of development services. Option 4 is incorrect. Azure Monitor is a monitoring service for applications, infrastructures, and networks on Azure. Question 7. You want to deploy multiple web servers and multiple database servers in Azure. As a security measure, you need to limit the connection to the database server to be only from web server. Which solution should you use for this? Number 1, Azure Service Bus. Number 2, Azure DDoS Protection. Number 3, Route Filter. Number 4, Network Security Group. And the answer is option 4. Explanation. Option 4 is the correct answer. You can use Azure Network Security Groups to filter network traffic to and from Azure resources in your Azure virtual network. Network security groups contain security rules that allow or deny inbound or outbound network traffic to many types of Azure resources. You can specify the source, destination, port, and the protocol for each rule. Option 1 is incorrect. Microsoft Azure Service Bus is a fully managed enterprise integration message broker with message queues and publish or subscribe topics. Option 2 is incorrect. DDoS protection is a service that provides constant monitoring and automatic network attack mitigation. It protects your Azure resources from distributed denial of service attacks. Option 3 is incorrect. Route filtering is a way to take advantage of a subset of the services support through Microsoft peering. Thank you for watching this video. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Buy our premium AZ bundle with 90% off. Check link in the description.